Maya Williams? The delivery man called as Maya. Denise and Lena reached the steps of the Franklin County Courthouse. Maya turned. The man wore a plain gray delivery uniform with no visible company logo. In one hand, he carried a charcoal-colored hard-shell case secured with a combination lock and an unbroken seal. "That's me." He held out the case. "Direct delivery only." Maya studied it before accepting it. "Who sent it?" "I wasn't given a name." "What company are you with?" "I only received instructions to deliver this directly to you." Lena looked at the scanner in his hand. "Do you have a tracking number?" "Dispatch handled that." "Which dispatch?" The man hesitated. "I don't have any other information, ma'am." Maya took the case by the handle without touching the seal. "Do I need to sign?" "No. I just need to confirm delivery." He entered the handoff into his scanner, nodded, and turned away. Denise called after him. "If there's a problem, how do we contact you?" He looked back. "Anything you need should be with the package." Then he left. Maya examined the case. There was no return address, shipping label, or sender's name. A small folded card had been placed beneath the handle. Lena noticed it immediately. "Don't open the case." "I wasn't planning to." Maya removed the card without disturbing the seal and unfolded it. "What's inside will bring down Apex Meridian, but it only matters if it is opened in front of the judge." Denise read the message beside her. "Do you know who sent this?" "No." "Could Harold have arranged it?" "He would have told us." Lena looked at the intact seal. "Then we treat it as material from an unknown source. Nobody opens it until we know where it came from." Maya agreed. If the contents were genuine evidence, opening the case without establishing its source could create problems with authentication and chain of custody. If the delivery was a setup, opening it could create an even greater problem. "We keep it sealed," Maya said. "If anyone examines it, that happens under court supervision." She was about to place the note in her leather folio when a man spoke behind them. "Set the case down." The three women turned. Sergeant Daniel Mercer stood several feet away in uniform, blocking their path toward the courthouse entrance. One hand rested near the baton on his duty belt. Maya kept the case at her side. "Excuse me?" "The case. Put it on the ground and step away." "On what basis?" "I received an emergency courthouse security notification about a suspicious sealed container being brought into the building." Maya looked directly at him. "Who reported it?" "That's not relevant." "Courthouse security?" "I said, it's not relevant." "A judge?" Mercer's expression tightened. "I'm not debating procedure with you. Put the case down." "Has a crime been reported?" "I'm giving you a lawful security directive." "Then identify the legal basis for that directive." Mercer pointed toward the ground. "Put the case down." Maya did not move. "The seal is intact. If you intend to seize the case, state the reason and document the transfer." "Are you refusing to cooperate with a police investigation?" "I'm asking you to identify the investigation." "You're interfering with courthouse security." Denise spoke. "What exactly are we interfering with?" Mercer turned toward her. "The investigation I'm conducting. That doesn't identify an offense." Denise replied. "Keep pushing and you'll become part of it." Maya stepped into the exchange before it went further. "You stopped all three of us. She's already part of the encounter." Mercer looked back at Maya, then raised a hand to the body camera on his chest. A soft beep sounded. Lena watched the indicator light change. Mercer lowered his hand. "Put the case down." Denise started to reach for her phone. Mercer moved his hand more firmly onto the baton at his belt. "Keep your hands visible." Denise stopped. Maya remained calm. "No one here has threatened you. I determine what creates a security concern." "You can assess a concern," Maya said. "You still have to explain the authority you're using." Mercer ignored her. "I know what kind of material is being moved in that case." Maya focused on him. "What kind?" "Potentially unauthorized corporate records." Denise looked at Maya. Lena's attention shifted from Mercer's body camera to his face. Maya waited a moment before asking, "Which corporation?" Mercer did not answer. "You said corporate records," Maya continued. "How do you know that?" "I'm not answering your questions." "You knew this case was coming?" "I told you I received a security notification." "That doesn't explain how you know what may be inside a sealed case." Mercer stepped closer. "This conversation is over. Put it down." Maya lowered the case carefully to the ground. "I'm complying with your order," she said. "I am not consenting to a search, seizure, or opening of the case." Mercer gave a short nod. "That's better." Maya said nothing. The delivery had happened only moments earlier. She had never told Mercer about the note, had never mentioned Apex Meridian, and had never described the contents as corporate records. Yet Mercer had arrived ready to stop them and already knew what the case might contain. Lena glanced once more at his body camera. It was still off. Maya now had a second problem to solve. Someone had known the case was coming before it reached her. Mercer looked down at the charcoal case and then at Maya. "Step away from it." Maya moved back one step. Denise and Lena did the same. "Now tell me what happens next," Maya said. "What happens next is I secure the case." "Are you seizing it?" "I'm securing it pending investigation." "Those are not the same thing." Mercer's expression tightened. "You don't get to decide how I conduct a security investigation. I'm not trying to conduct it for you. I'm asking you to state what you're doing." Mercer looked toward Denise and Lena. "Identification. All three of you." Denise reached slowly toward her bag. "Are we required to provide it?" Mercer moved his hand toward the baton again. "Don't make any sudden movements. I told you what I was doing. Keep your hands where I can see them." Denise stopped and looked at him. "You just asked for identification, and I'm telling you how to get it." Maya kept her voice controlled. "We can provide identification, but you still haven't told us whether we're being detained." Mercer ignored the question. "Names?" Maya answered first. "Maya Williams, Denise Carter, Lena Brooks." Mercer removed a small notebook and wrote the names down. Maya watched him. "What is the incident number?" "There isn't one yet." "Then what emergency notification brought you here?" "I already answered that." "No, you said you received one." "I'm asking what record exists." Mercer closed the notebook. "You're very interested in paperwork. I'm interested in knowing why a police officer stopped us before we entered a courthouse and demanded possession of a sealed case. You were told why. We were told there was a security concern. We still don't know who reported it, what offense was alleged, or why you knew the case might contain corporate records." Mercer glanced toward the case. "I know enough to stop it from entering the building." Lena spoke for the first time since the body camera went dark. "Was that your instruction?" Mercer looked at her. "What?" "To stop the case from entering the building. I was told to investigate suspicious material." "That's not what you just said." Mercer's tone hardened. "I suggest you stop trying to twist my words." Lena remained calm. "I'm repeating them." Maya noticed Mercer's attention shift between the three women. He had tried direct orders with her, pressure with Denise, and intimidation with Lena. None of it had produced the reaction he seemed to expect. Mercer pointed toward the case. "I'm going to inspect it." Maya answered immediately. "Not with our consent." "I don't need your permission." "Then identify your legal authority to open it." "I have reasonable security concerns." "About the outside of the case?" "About what could be inside." "Based on what information?" Mercer paused. "Information I'm not required to disclose to you." Maya nodded once. "Then don't disclose the source. State the nature of the allegation." "You don't get to set conditions." "I'm asking whether anyone reported that this case contains contraband, stolen property, prohibited material, or anything dangerous." Mercer did not answer. Denise folded her arms. "That should be simple." Mercer looked at her. "Uncross your arms." Denise stared at him. "Why?" "Because I told you to." Maya turned slightly toward Denise. "Just keep your hands visible." Denise lowered them. Mercer gave a short nod. "Good." Denise's voice stayed even. "Following an unnecessary order doesn't make the order necessary." "Denise," Maya said quietly. Denise stopped. Mercer looked satisfied for a moment, then turned back to Maya. "You people seem determined to make this difficult." Maya answered without changing her tone. "We have complied with every clear instruction you've given. That doesn't require surrendering unknown material without explanation." "That sounds like refusal." "No. It sounds exactly like what I said." Mercer looked toward the courthouse entrance and then back at them. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm taking custody of the case. You're going to wait here while I determine whether you're involved in an unauthorized transfer of corporate material. Maya focused on one phrase. Unauthorized transfer. Yes. Who said the transfer was unauthorized? Mercer hesitated. Maya continued. The sender? No. The owner of the material? I'm not discussing sources. A court officer? Mercer stepped closer. I said, enough. No, Sergeant. You said a great deal. You said this involves corporate records. You said the transfer may be unauthorized. You said the case cannot enter the courthouse. Those are specific claims. Mercer's jaw tightened. Lena looked again at the dark body camera indicator. And none of them are being recorded. Mercer turned toward her. For the first time, he looked genuinely surprised. Lena continued. Your camera was on when you approached us. It isn't now. It malfunctioned. That's what happened? Yes. Lena nodded. Understood. Something about the way she said it made Mercer uneasy. He reached toward the case. Maya spoke before he touched it. If you take possession, document the condition of the seal first. I know how evidence works. Then there shouldn't be a problem. Mercer crouched slightly, examined the case without lifting it, and stood again. Seal appears intact, he said. Maya looked at him. Put that in your notes. Mercer gave her a cold stare. You really don't know when to stop. I know exactly when to stop. I stop when the legal question is answered. There is no legal question. There is always a legal question when the government takes someone's property. If you sympathize with Maya, who remained calm and defended her legal rights even after Sergeant Mercer turned off his body camera and threatened her with handcuffs, please like this video. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because someone near you may be watching Maya's story too. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next powerful stories. Mercer reached for his radio. Dispatch. I have 3 subjects at the courthouse entrance refusing full compliance during a security investigation involving suspected unauthorized corporate records. Denise looked at Maya. Lena's expression changed slightly. Maya waited until Mercer released the radio button. We have not refused full compliance. Mercer put the radio back on his shoulder. That's how I'm documenting it. Maya held his gaze. Then document this too. We provided our names, followed your movement instructions, stepped away from the case, and did not interfere with you physically in any way. Mercer said nothing. Now answer one question. Maya continued. Are we free to leave? No. Then we are being detained. You're being held while I complete my investigation. That is a detention. Mercer moved his hand toward the cuffs on his belt. Keep arguing, he said. And this becomes obstruction. Maya looked at the cuffs, then back at him. Questions are not obstruction, Sergeant. Mercer's hand remained on the cuffs. They can be when they interfere with me doing my job. Maya's voice remained steady. Then you're going to have to explain what we did, besides ask you to do it lawfully. Mercer released his grip on the cuffs and pointed toward Denise. Turn around. Denise looked at Maya before moving. For what? You've been warned more than once. About asking questions? About interfering with a security investigation. Maya stepped slightly closer without approaching Mercer. You still haven't identified an act of interference. Mercer looked at her. I don't need your agreement. No, but you do need a reason. I have one. Then state it. Mercer's patience gave way. All 3 of you are being detained for obstruction and failure to comply with a courthouse security directive. Lena spoke calmly. We followed your movement instructions, provided our names, and stepped away from the case. You delayed the investigation. By asking what you were investigating, Mercer reached for the cuffs again. Turn around. Maya understood that continuing the argument would no longer produce useful information. Mercer had decided what he wanted the incident to become, and every additional exchange gave him another opportunity to describe their questions as resistance. She looked at Denise and Lena. Comply. Denise exhaled through her nose but turned around. Lena followed without argument. Maya remained facing Mercer for another moment. For the record, we are complying with the detention. We do not consent to any search, seizure, or opening of the case. Mercer stepped behind her. Hands behind your back. Maya did as instructed. The cuffs closed around her wrists. There was no struggle and no physical force beyond the restraint itself. Mercer moved to Denise next. Hands back. Denise complied. You understand we haven't tried to leave. I understand. You've made this harder than necessary. No, Denise said. You've said that several times. It still doesn't explain what we did. Mercer fastened the cuffs and moved to Lena. Lena placed her hands behind her back before he ordered her to. When Mercer secured the final pair, she looked toward the body camera on his chest. It's still off. Mercer's expression changed. I told you it malfunctioned. You did. Then stop bringing it up. I'm making sure I remember what you said. Mercer stepped away from her. You three seem very interested in creating your own version of this. Maya turned enough to face him. We're interested in accuracy. You'll have plenty of opportunity to explain yourselves. So will you. Mercer ignored the comment and walked toward the charcoal case. Maya watched carefully. Before you touch it, document the seal. Mercer stopped. You're handcuffed. I'm aware. Then stop giving orders. I'm not giving an order. I'm protecting the condition of the property you intend to take. Mercer looked down at the case. Maya continued. You said you understand evidence procedure. If you move that case without documenting its condition, you create a chain of custody dispute before anyone knows what's inside. Mercer stared at her, then removed his notebook. Charcoal hardshell container, he said while writing. Combination lock. Seal appears intact. Record that none of us opened it. Mercer looked up. I decide what goes in my report. Maya's expression remained neutral. That is exactly why I'm saying it in front of witnesses. Several people had stopped near the courthouse entrance. No one interfered, but phones had begun to appear in their hands. Mercer noticed them too. He stepped closer to Maya. You think an audience changes this? No. You think people recording me makes your behavior lawful? We haven't said anything about the people recording. Then stop performing for them. Denise shook her head. Nobody was paying attention until you put 3 women in handcuffs. Mercer turned toward her. That attitude is exactly what I'm talking about. What attitude? Challenging every instruction. Denise started to answer, but Maya spoke first. Denise. Denise looked at her and stopped. Mercer took the interruption as an advantage. Good. Maybe somebody here understands how to cooperate. Maya held his gaze. Cooperation is not the same as agreement. Keep talking like that, and I'll add it to the report. Add what? Hostile conduct. Maya waited a moment. Was my voice raised? Mercer said nothing. Did I threaten you? No. Did I touch you? No. Did I attempt to leave? No. Then be precise about what you call hostile. Mercer closed his notebook. I'm done answering questions. You haven't answered many. He turned away. Lena watched him move toward the case. Sergeant. Mercer stopped. You said earlier that these may be unauthorized corporate records. I remember what I said. How did you know that before opening the case? Mercer looked at her. Security. Intelligence. From whom? Confidential source. Maya immediately focused on the answer. This was the first time Mercer had described the source as confidential rather than irrelevant. Was the source connected to the corporation? Maya asked. Mercer looked back at her. Conversation's over. Was the source the party claiming these records were unauthorized? No more questions. Mercer bent toward the case. Maya spoke before his hand reached the handle. If you take custody, the transfer needs to be documented. He straightened again. You don't control my procedure. Neither do you control what happened before you arrived. Mercer's face hardened. I was here. Before that case was delivered. The words came out before he seemed to realize what he had said. Silence followed. Denise looked at Lena. Lena looked directly at Mercer. Maya asked one question. You were here before the delivery? Mercer corrected himself immediately. I was in the area. That isn't what you said. I was assigned to courthouse security. Before receiving the emergency notification, Mercer's jaw tightened. He reached for his radio instead of answering. Maya understood the significance. Mercer had not simply responded quickly. He had been positioned near the courthouse before the anonymous courier arrived. The delivery had been anticipated. A door opened behind them. Footsteps came down the courthouse stairs. A court administrator stopped when he saw the 3 women in handcuffs, then turned back toward the entrance as another person stepped outside. Chief Judge Eleanor Price looked first at Mercer, Then at the sealed charcoal case on the pavement, her attention moved to Maya. The judge stopped. "Sergeant Mercer," she said, "what exactly are you doing?" Chief Judge Eleanor Price descended the remaining steps and looked from Maya to Denise and Lena before turning back to Mercer. "Security matter, Your Honor," Mercer said. "I received information about a suspicious transfer involving potentially unauthorized corporate records." Price glanced at the charcoal case on the pavement. "And that required handcuffs?" "They refused to cooperate fully." Maya spoke before Mercer could continue. "We complied with every movement instruction. We refused consent to search or open a sealed container from an unidentified source." Mercer looked at her. "You repeatedly challenged lawful instructions. We asked you to identify them." Price raised one hand. "Enough." She stepped closer to Maya and studied the cuffs behind her back. "Sergeant, do you know who you detained?" Mercer hesitated. "Maya Williams." Price looked at him. "You detained Maya Williams? You know her?" "Know her?" Price turned toward Denise and Lena. "That is Denise Carter. That is Lena Brooks. You have Williams, Carter, and Brooks standing in handcuffs outside my courthouse." Mercer's face changed. Price continued. "They are lead counsel for Harold Bennett in Bennett versus Apex Meridian. For the first time since the encounter began, Mercer said nothing. The people nearby who had been watching quietly now understood why the three women had spoken with such precision. Williams, Carter, and Brooks LLP was not a neighborhood practice or a firm that appeared occasionally in county court. Maya was its managing partner and lead trial strategist. Denise Carter had built her reputation in high-stakes cross-examination, while Lena Brooks handled appellate questions, evidence disputes, and complex digital records. Their current client, Harold Bennett, was a former chief financial officer accusing Apex Meridian Development of concealing financial records and manipulating public contract documents. Mercer looked back at the case. "There appears to have been a misunderstanding." Maya faced him. "A misunderstanding is getting someone's name wrong." Mercer said nothing. "You made a legal conclusion before establishing the facts." Maya continued. "Our profession doesn't change that." Price looked at Mercer. "Remove the cuffs." "Your Honor, I still have an active security concern involving the container. You may address the container without keeping 3 people restrained who have complied with you." Mercer unlocked Maya first. She brought her hands forward and adjusted her jacket without comment. Denise and Lena were released next. Denise looked at Mercer. "Are we still detained?" Mercer glanced toward Price before answering. "Not at this time." Maya noticed the wording but did not challenge it. Price pointed toward the case. "Now explain where that came from." Maya picked up the folded note, but left the case untouched. "A courier approached us at the foot of the steps and delivered it directly to me. No sender was identified. The case was sealed when I received it and has not been opened." She handed the note to Price. The judge read it once. Her expression tightened slightly at the reference to Apex Meridian. "You know who sent this?" "No." "Does Mr. Bennett?" "Not that we know." Mercer stepped in. "So she admits she had no idea where the material came from." Maya looked at him. "Correct. But you intended to bring it inside." "No. I intended to determine lawful custody before anyone examined it. You were standing at the courthouse entrance holding it. Receiving a package is not the same as authenticating its contents." Mercer started to answer, but Price stopped him. "Nobody is opening this case on the courthouse steps." She turned to the court administrator beside her. "Have security. Photograph the exterior. Document the seal, and place it in secure evidence storage." Mercer frowned. "Your Honor, this may involve unauthorized corporate property, and that question can be addressed without destroying the condition in which it arrived." Price looked at Maya. "No one from your firm touches it until I decide how provenance and custody will be handled." "Understood." "Same applies to Apex Meridian." Maya gave a small nod. That was the outcome she wanted. The case would remain sealed. Neither side would control it, and whatever was inside would stay under neutral custody. The administrator called courthouse security. An evidence officer arrived, photographed the case, recorded the seal, and prepared the transfer paperwork. Lena watched every step. Mercer watched her. When the evidence officer carried the case inside, Price turned back to Mercer. I expect a complete report of this encounter. You'll have one. Price looked at his body camera, including the recording. Mercer paused. The camera malfunctioned during part of the contact. Lena met his eyes but said nothing. Price's attention remained on Mercer. Then, include that too. She turned toward the three women. Counselors, come inside when you're ready. Mercer watched her walk back toward the courthouse. Denise waited until the judge was out of earshot. Misunderstanding, Maya looked at Mercer. Leave it. They gathered their belongings and walked toward the entrance. Lena spoke quietly. He called it Apex Meridian material before anyone told him what the note said. I know. He admitted he was here before the delivery. I know that too. Denise glanced back, and the camera went off before the detention. Maya pushed open the courthouse door. Remember all of it. Mercer returned to his patrol vehicle several minutes later and opened his laptop. The body camera remained off. He began typing. 3 subjects knowingly interfered with an emergency security investigation involving potentially unauthorized corporate documents. He stopped, read the sentence, then continued. Subjects repeatedly challenged lawful commands and delayed efforts to secure the suspected material. His phone vibrated beside the keyboard. A message from Deputy Chief Robert Keene appeared. Make sure the obstruction basis is clear. Mercer stared at it before returning to the report. A second message arrived. Do not mention the original source. Mercer looked toward the courthouse entrance. The handcuffs had been removed, but the official version of what happened was only beginning to take shape. The next morning, Maya met Denise and Lena at a diner 2 blocks from their office. The place was quiet enough for conversation, and they took a booth near the back, where they could spread out papers without drawing attention. Denise ordered black coffee, eggs, and toast. Lena asked for coffee and oatmeal. Maya barely looked at the menu before ordering the same breakfast she had eaten there for years. Their food had just arrived when Lena placed a printed police report in the center of the table. I got the incident report. Maya set down her coffee. Already? It was filed late last night. Denise pulled the pages toward her and started reading. Her expression changed before she reached the bottom of the first page. He says we refused repeated lawful commands. Lena nodded. Keep reading. Denise continued. Intentional delay. Interference with a courthouse security investigation. Failure to cooperate with seizure of suspected unauthorized corporate material. Maya held out her hand. Denise passed her the report. Maya read it carefully. Mercer had written that the 3 women repeatedly interfered with his efforts to investigate the sealed case. He described their questions as resistance and their refusal to consent to a search as a refusal to cooperate. The report did not mention that they had provided their names. It did not mention that they had followed his instructions to step away from the case. It did not mention that the body camera had stopped recording during the confrontation. Most importantly, it described the case as being connected to Apex Meridian before Mercer had any official way to know that. Denise pushed her plate aside. He wrote the version he needed. Maya kept reading. He wrote the version someone could use. Lena looked at her. That may already be happening. She opened her laptop and turned the screen toward them. A new filing had appeared in Bennett versus Apex Meridian. Denise read the title first. Motion to disqualify counsel. Maya did not react immediately. Adrian Voss had moved quickly. The filing argued that Williams, Carter, and Brooks could no longer represent Harold Bennett without creating a serious conflict. According to Voss, the 3 women were now potential witnesses in an ongoing courthouse security matter involving disputed corporate material. He also suggested that their conduct could become the subject of criminal or professional review. Denise looked up. He filed this before the court even decided what that case contains. He doesn't need the contents yet, Maya said. Lena scrolled farther down. There's more. An ethics grievance had also been submitted to the state bar. It claimed the firm may have accepted improperly obtained corporate records and then obstructed an officer who attempted to secure them. Denise leaned back. So, that's the plan. Maya folded the police report and placed it beside Voss's motion. Denise tapped the paper. He's using Mercer. No, Maya said. He's using the report. Lena looked at her. Maya continued. The cuffs were theater. This is the weapon. For a moment, nobody spoke. The waitress returned with a coffee pot and topped off their cups. She had worked there long enough to know Maya by name, but she did not ask about the papers covering the table. "Anything else for you ladies?" "We're fine, thank you," Maya said. The waitress nodded and moved on. Denise waited until she was gone. "If Voss gets us removed, he doesn't have to win against us. He just has to make us unavailable," Lena said. Maya closed the laptop. "That means we treat the police report as part of the litigation now." Denise looked at her. "And the bar complaint? We answer it. The motion? We oppose it. And Mercer?" Maya took a drink of coffee. "We find out why he knew that case was coming." Later that morning, Harold Bennett arrived at their office. At 61, Harold had the reserved manner of a man who had spent most of his career speaking carefully because other people took notes when he did. He had once served as chief financial officer of Apex Meridian Development. Now he was suing the company over allegations that internal financial records had been manipulated and that public contract documents had been concealed during prior review. Maya met him in the conference room with Denise and Lena. Harold placed a folder on the table. "I saw the motion. We assumed you would," Maya said. "And the ethics complaint." "Yes." Harold looked at each of them. "Is any of it true?" "No," Maya said. "We received a sealed case from an unknown source. We did not open it. We did not consent to a search because the source and legal status of the material had not been established. A judge now has the case in neutral custody." Harold nodded slowly. "And the police report? It leaves out facts and changes the meaning of what happened. Can you prove that?" "Not yet." Harold looked at Maya. "What does Voss want?" "To remove us from your case." "I figured that out." Maya chose her next words carefully. "You need to understand that you have the right to choose other counsel if you believe this creates too much risk." Harold's expression hardened. "No. Harold, listen to me. If this dispute grows, it could complicate the Bennett case. It already has. You should make your decision based on your interests, not ours." Harold leaned forward. "I hired this firm because Voss has spent years assuming everyone across the table would eventually get tired, get scared, or get bought." Denise remained silent. Harold looked directly at Maya. "I hired you to protect my case. Don't ask me to help the other side remove you from it." Maya held his gazette. "You understand what staying with us may mean?" "I understand what leaving would mean." Lena closed the folder in front of her. Harold looked toward the window, then back at the three women. "If they were willing to create this much trouble over one sealed case, I want to know why." "So do we," Maya said. Harold stood. "Then find out." After he left, Denise remained at the conference table. He didn't hesitate. "No," Maya said. Lena reopened the police report. Neither did Voss. Maya looked at Mercer's words again. By then, the restraint outside the courthouse was over, but the larger fight had already moved onto paper. Lena sent the first preservation request before Harold reached the elevator. By early afternoon, the police department responded with a short technical notice stating that Mercer's body camera had suffered an unexpected device interruption during the courthouse encounter. The message said available footage would be reviewed and released according to department procedure. Denise read the notice twice. "Unexpected interruption. That's their phrase," Lena said. "Convenient phrase." Maya looked across the conference table. "What exactly does it tell us?" "Very little. It doesn't say the battery failed, the storage corrupted, or the camera shut down because of a software error. It only says the recording stopped." Denise leaned back. "Mercer called it a malfunction." "He did," Lena said. "That's different from proving one happened." Maya closed the printed notice. "What do you need?" "Raw device logs, activation history, server synchronization records, and the audit trail showing when the camera stopped and restarted." "Can the department alter those?" "Someone can alter a report. Device records are harder to clean up without leaving another record." Denise looked at her. "So the camera may have stopped recording, but the system still knows why." Lena nodded. "Cameras fail. Metadata doesn't." Maya picked up the phone. "Call Nolan." Nolan Price arrived at the office later that afternoon carrying a laptop and a thin document case. At 48, he had spent years examining digital evidence for civil litigation, insurance disputes, employment cases, and internal investigations. He did not describe himself as a hacker and disliked anyone who did. Lena gave him the department's technical notice. Nolan read it once. This tells me nothing useful. That was my conclusion. What model camera? She gave him the manufacturer and unit series listed in Mercer's equipment record. Nolan opened his laptop. If the device was working normally before the interruption, there should be an event code when the recording stopped. Same for restart. Depending on the system, we may also get battery state, storage status, user input, docking history, and upload activity. Denise asked, "Can you tell if Mercer touched the button?" "If the system logged a manual stop, yes. It won't tell me what was in his head when he did it." "We can handle that part," Maya said. Nolan looked at her. "You'll need the raw data, not screenshots, and not a department summary." Maya nodded. "We'll ask for preservation immediately. Ask for the camera itself, too, if it hasn't been reassigned." Lena was already writing. Their request went out that evening, demanding preservation of Mercer's camera, all associated logs, server-side records, upload histories, administrative access records, and any internal communications concerning the alleged malfunction. The department objected the next morning. Deputy Chief Robert Keene signed the response. He argued that several categories involved internal security procedures and that disclosure should be limited until the department completed its own review. Maya read the letter in her office. "He wants them to investigate themselves before we see the data." Denise stood near the window. "Can he delay us?" "For a while, if we let him." Lena placed the draft motion on Maya's desk. "I'm asking Judge Price for a preservation order. Not public disclosure yet. Just an order preventing deletion, reassignment, overwriting, or administrative modification." Maya read the first page. "Good. Keep it narrow." Keene's attorneys opposed even that. At the hearing, their counsel argued that no evidence had been shown of intentional tampering and that the department's ordinary retention policy was sufficient. Maya did not argue that Mercer had already destroyed anything. She argued that the body camera record had become central to a pending motion seeking to remove her firm from Bennett's case. The department may ultimately be correct that the device failed, she told Judge Price. But that conclusion cannot be tested if the underlying data changes before anyone outside the department sees it. Price granted the preservation request. She ordered the department to retain the camera, its native logs, all synchronized server records, and the audit history associated with the incident. The first technical production arrived 2 days later. Lena forwarded it to Nolan immediately. They met that evening in the conference room. Nolan connected his laptop to the wall display. "I found the stop event." Denise looked at the screen. "What caused it?" Nolan enlarged one section of the log. "There was no critical battery event, no memory error, no firmware crash, no overheating event." Maya looked at the entry highlighted on the screen. "What does that code mean?" "User-initiated recording stop." Denise stared at him. "Manual?" "Yes." Lena did not look surprised. Maya remembered the small movement of Mercer's hand toward his chest and the beep Lena had noticed. "When did he stop it?" Nolan showed them the event sequence. The camera had been recording when Mercer approached the 3 women. It continued through the first part of the confrontation and then stopped during the argument over the sealed case. "What about the restart?" Maya asked. Nolan moved farther down the record. "There." The camera resumed after Judge Price appeared, and after the cuffs had been removed. Denise let out a quiet breath. "So the camera failed exactly while he was doing the part he later described as obstruction." Nolan shook his head. "I wouldn't call it failure." Maya looked at him. "Neither will we." Across town, Mercer sat in Deputy Chief Keene's office with the door closed. Keene had a copy of the preservation order on his desk. Mercer kept his voice low. "They have the device logs." Keene did not look concerned. "And it shows a manual stop. You said the camera malfunctioned." "I thought I could say, I hit it by accident." Keene leaned back. "Then, that's what happened." Mercer stared at him. "They're going to ask why it came back on after the cuffs were removed. A log records a button press. It doesn't record intent." Mercer remained silent. Keene pushed a copy of the incident report toward him. "You wrote this?" "Yes." "Then stand by your report. What if they get more data?" Keene's expression hardened. Daniel, a log doesn't know what you saw. It doesn't know what you believed. It doesn't know what those women were doing. You do. Mercer looked down at the report. Keene continued. Do not start changing your account because a lawyer found a technical code she likes. Mercer nodded, but without confidence. Back at the firm, Lena saved the original metadata production in a protected evidence folder. Denise watched her. That little beep outside the courthouse. Lena nodded. It matters now. Maya looked at the manual stop entry on the screen. Mercer had controlled the camera for only a moment. The system had preserved the fact that he did. Lena began with the courthouse exterior cameras. The footage showed the courier approaching from the south side of the plaza, stopping only long enough to hand Maya the charcoal case, then leaving by the same route. His face was visible in several frames, but the gray uniform carried no readable company name. Denise stood behind Lena's chair as the video played again. He knew exactly where to find us. Yes, Lena said. And he didn't enter the courthouse before or after the delivery. Maya looked at the screen. Can we identify the scanner he used? I'm working on it. Lena isolated the clearest frame showing the handheld device. The image was not sharp enough to read the entire label, but part of a serial marker was visible along the lower edge. She sent the image to Nolan. His response came later that morning. The scanner model was common among regional courier services, but the partial serial number narrowed the search. After several records, requests, and calls, Lena found a match connected to Gray Line Legal Courier Services, a small company that handled document delivery for law firms, insurance offices, and corporate clients around Riverton. Maya called Gray Line directly. A woman in operations answered. We need to verify a delivery made outside Franklin County Courthouse earlier this week, Maya said. She gave the date and described the courier. The woman checked the company system. We don't show a scheduled delivery under your name. Could it have been subcontracted? Possibly. Have a tracking number? No. That's part of the problem. Lena sent over still images from the security footage. The woman called back less than an hour later. That uniform is one of ours. Or at least it was. The scanner is ours too. Denise leaned closer to the speakerphone. Was the man your employee? Not currently. Who is he? There was a pause while the woman checked another record. Simon Vale. He worked temporary routes for us. When? Several months ago. He was never full-time. What happened to the uniform and scanner? That's what I'm trying to figure out. The scanner was marked missing after his contract ended. We also had 2 uniform sets that were never returned. Maya looked at Lena. Do you have contact information for Mr. Vale? Gray Line would not release it without formal process, but the name was enough. By the afternoon, Lena had located Simon through public business records. He operated as an independent delivery contractor and occasionally accepted private transportation jobs for law offices and investigation firms. One detail stood out. Simon had previously performed subcontract work for a private investigation company that had been retained by outside counsel working for Apex Meridian. Denise read the record over Lena's shoulder. That's Voss. It points in his direction, Lena said. It points directly at him. Maya remained cautious. It points too directly. Denise looked at her. You think someone planted the connection? I think Adrian Voss has spent too many years protecting corporate clients to hire a courier whose work history leads back to him after one record search. So what do you want to do? Talk to Simon. They did not contact him through the office. Maya asked an investigator used by the firm to reach out and request a voluntary meeting concerning the courthouse delivery. Simon agreed. They met the following afternoon at a coffee shop outside downtown Riverton. Simon Vale was 38 and dressed in work pants and a dark jacket. He looked uncomfortable when he saw 3 women waiting at the table. You're Maya Williams? Yes. His eyes moved to Denise and Lena. I didn't know who you were when I delivered that case. Maya gestured toward the empty chair. Sit down. Simon did. Denise spoke first. Did someone tell you to wear the Gray Line uniform? Simon nodded. The job required neutral courier clothing. I still had an old set. And the scanner? Same thing. You knew it wasn't registered for current Gray Line work? Yes. Maya kept her tone neutral. Who hired you? A private booking service. Name? Simon gave it to them. Lena wrote it down. Did you know what you were carrying? No. Did you open the case? No. Were you told the recipient? Yes. Maya Williams. Direct delivery only. Were you told why? No. Were you told to avoid questions? Simon looked embarrassed. I was told not to discuss the sender. Denise asked, how much were you paid? Simon named an amount well above an ordinary courthouse delivery fee. That didn't bother you? She asked. It did, but you took the job. Simon nodded. I take contract work where I can get it. He looked at Maya. I'm not trying to make excuses. I have a mortgage, insurance, and bills like everyone else. The instructions weren't illegal. Deliver a sealed case. Don't open it. Hand it to one person. I've done stranger jobs. Maya did not press him on that point. Where did you get the case? Parking structure on Jefferson. From whom? I don't know her name. A woman? Yes. Describe her. Simon did. Mid-50s. Business clothes. Controlled manner. No visible company identification. Lena wrote every detail. Did she give you the note too? Maya asked. It was already attached under the handle. Did she say anything about Apex Meridian? No. Did she mention the courthouse? She said the case had to reach you personally before you went inside. Denise asked. Was anyone else with her? No. Did you see how she arrived? No. She was already there. Maya leaned forward slightly. Did anyone tell you a police officer would be waiting? Simon looked genuinely confused. No. Did anyone mention courthouse security? No. Did anyone tell you the case might be intercepted? No. Lena closed her legal pad. Simon looked between them. Am I in trouble? Not with us, Maya said. But we may need you to confirm what you told us today. He nodded. I will. After Simon left, Denise watched through the window until he reached his car. He's either telling the truth, or he's very good. He's telling the truth about most of it, Lena said. Denise looked at her. Most? He knew he was using Gray Line property he no longer worked under. That makes him cautious. It doesn't make him part of the larger plan. Maya looked at the notes. What about the booking service? Lena had already started searching. Within an hour, she found corporate records linking the service to a private investigation firm. That firm had handled work for lawyers representing Apex Meridian. Denise leaned back. Still too clean? Maya read the connection twice. Yes. Denise frowned. Why? Because if Voss wanted us to discover he sent the case, he couldn't have left a better trail. Lena looked at the description Simon had given of the woman in the parking structure. So maybe Voss didn't send it. Maya closed the file. Then someone else did. And Voss may have learned about it before we did. That possibility changed the investigation. The courier trail no longer answered the question of who had built the trap. It only showed that more than one person may have known the case was coming. The following morning, Maya filed a narrow request, asking Judge Price to authorize an examination of the sealed case without opening it. She wanted the exterior photographed under controlled conditions and any identifying marks documented before either side could challenge its origin. Voss opposed the request. His filing argued that any examination risked disturbing potentially privileged property belonging to Apex Meridian. Maya noticed the contradiction immediately. Voss had spent days arguing that nobody could establish where the case came from, yet he was now objecting as though its connection to Apex Meridian was already known. Judge Price allowed a non-invasive inspection. Nolan joined Lena in the courthouse evidence room, while Maya, Denise, counsel for Apex Meridian, and a court clerk observed. The charcoal case remained sealed on the table. Nolan photographed the lock, hinges, exterior shell, and tamper seal before examining the printed markings under magnification. The case itself is ordinary commercial equipment, he said. Anyone could buy one. Denise looked at the combination lock. And the lock? Different manufacturer. It was added later. Lena pointed toward the seal. What about that? Nolan adjusted the magnifier. There's a batch code. The attorney representing Apex Meridian stepped forward. Do not remove anything. I'm not removing anything, Nolan said. I'm reading what's already there. He wrote down the code and photographed it. Later that afternoon, Nolan called the firm. The seal matters. Maya put him on speaker. How much? The manufacturer sells that product to a lot of companies, but the batch code can be traced through distributor records. Part of that shipment went to Apex Meridian. Denise looked at Lena. Can we prove this particular seal came from their inventory? Not yet, Nolan said. We can prove the same batch was supplied to them. That's all I'd say under oath. Maya appreciated the restraint. That's enough for now. After the call, Lena opened Mercer's incident report beside the first draft obtained through discovery. I found another problem. She placed both versions on the conference table. In Mercer's original draft, the case was described as a sealed container of unknown origin. In the final report, the language had changed to suspected, unauthorized Apex Meridian corporate records. Denise read the sentence twice. He added the company name. Yes. Maya looked at the dates and system stamps. After the encounter? After we were already inside the courthouse. Mercer had never opened the case. He had not seen the note. Maya had not told him the message mentioned Apex Meridian. Yet the final report named the company directly. Who accessed the report between these two versions? Maya asked. Lena turned her laptop toward them. Deputy Chief Robert Keene. The system audit showed that Keene had opened the report before final submission. Denise frowned. Maybe he reviewed it. Supervisors do that. They do, Lena said. But look at the version history. Several phrases changed after Keene's access. Questioned. Basis for detention. Became delayed lawful security instructions. Declined consent to search became refused lawful direction. The reference to Apex Meridian appeared in the same revision period. Maya read the edits without speaking. Denise looked at her. That isn't proofreading. No, it's not just Mercer anymore. It hasn't been just Mercer for a while. That afternoon, Harold Bennett came to the office after learning about the seal. He sat across from Maya in the conference room while Denise and Lena joined them. You're saying part of the packaging may have come from Apex? The seal batch was supplied to Apex Meridian, Maya said. That doesn't prove the case came from inside the company, but it makes it possible. Yes. Harold looked toward the evidence photographs. Do you think what's inside is real? Maya considered the question. I believe somebody was afraid of where it might end up. That isn't the same answer. No, because I don't know yet. Harold nodded. Fair enough. Lena opened a personnel summary she had been reviewing. There's someone we need to look at. The name at the top was Elaine Porter, 55 years old. Internal Compliance Director at Apex Meridian. Long service history. No public dispute with the company. No prior connection to Harold's legal team. But 3 weeks earlier, Elaine had taken an extended leave of absence. Denise read the file. Why her? Because part of her department handled internal audit controls, including document retention procedures. Maya looked at the timing, and she went on leave shortly before the case appeared. Lena nodded. They did not contact Elaine directly. Maya sent a formal request through counsel representing her in an unrelated employment matter. 2 days later, Elaine agreed to a brief meeting. She arrived at a private conference room with her attorney and sat across from Maya. Denise and Lena remained nearby. Maya placed no evidence in front of her. I'm not asking you to waive privilege or discuss anything your attorney advises you not to discuss. Elaine nodded. I want to ask about a sealed case delivered outside Franklin County Courthouse. Elaine's expression remained controlled. I did not deliver anything to you. Maya waited. That wasn't my question. Elaine's attorney looked at her but did not interrupt. Maya continued. Did material leave Apex Meridian that the company did not want reaching the Bennett litigation? Elaine said nothing. Did you know records might be transferred? Still no answer. Maya changed direction. The case remains sealed. Judge Price has it in secure custody. Elaine's eyes moved slightly. That was the first reaction Maya had seen. If the material is legitimate, Maya said. Opening it under court supervision protects everyone involved. Elaine finally spoke. Ask your judge to preserve the case. Maya held her gaze. Why? Elaine stood. Her attorney gathered his papers. Before leaving, Elaine repeated the same instruction. Preserve it. Then she walked out. Denise waited until the door closed. She knows. She knows something, Maya said. Lena looked at the photograph of the intact seal on her laptop. They still could not prove who had packed the case or what it contained. but the possibility that it came from inside Apex Meridian was no longer remote. For the first time, the anonymous delivery looked less like a manufactured prop and more like evidence someone had been trying to keep from reaching the courthouse. By the following morning, the courthouse incident was no longer confined to police reports and court filings. Deputy Chief Robert Keene appeared before local reporters at police headquarters and read from a prepared statement. The department supports appropriate courthouse security procedures. Professional credentials do not exempt anyone from lawful police instructions, and every complaint related to this incident will be reviewed through established channels. He took only a few questions. A reporter asked whether Mercer had intentionally turned off his body camera. Keene did not answer directly. The equipment issue is part of the internal review. Another reporter asked whether the department knew the sealed case was connected to Apex Meridian before Mercer stopped Maya and her partners. Keene looked down at his notes. I won't discuss operational information while the review is ongoing. Then he ended the briefing. Denise watched the recording from the firm's conference room. He didn't mention the manual camera stop. No, Lena said. He didn't mention the edited report either. No. Denise closed the browser, but he made sure everyone heard that lawyers aren't above the law. Maya remained focused on the documents in front of her. That's the argument he wants people discussing. Denise looked at her. You're not going to respond? Not publicly. He just suggested we expected special treatment. And if we answer him on television, we turn a court dispute into a public argument about personalities. He already did that. Maya looked up. Then let him. We only need to win in one room. The pressure did not arrive as a direct threat. It came through ordinary professional channels. That afternoon, a city employee who had agreed to meet with Denise about contract records canceled without explanation. When Denise called back, the employee said only that his department had advised him not to discuss anything connected to Bennett without counsel present. The next morning, one of the firm's consulting clients asked to postpone negotiations on a separate matter until the ethics complaint was resolved. Later that day, a reporter called Maya's office asking whether she had a history of becoming confrontational with government officials. Maya listened to the question before answering. Who described me that way? I can't identify the source. Then, I can't respond to an unidentified characterization. Do you deny being confrontational with Sergeant Mercer? I deny that asking an officer to identify the legal basis for a detention is misconduct. The reporter tried another question. Are you concerned about your professional license? Any lawyer should take a bar inquiry seriously. We will respond through the proper process. She ended the call. Denise stood in Maya's doorway. You know that quote is going to become the headline. Probably. You still don't want to say what happened. We already did. In a filing, where facts belong. The effects continued. 2 potential clients delayed consultations. A former corporate client called only to say that its board had questions about the news coverage. Nobody accused Maya, Denise, or Lena of wrongdoing directly. Nobody told them to leave the Bennett case. They did not have to. At the courthouse later that week, Maya passed several attorneys she had known for years. Most did not stop her to discuss the incident. One older lawyer gave her a simple nod. Morning, Maya. Morning. Another man leaving the clerk's office paused beside her. Keep your head. I intend to. He nodded once and continued down the hall. Maya appreciated the restraint. She did not need speeches of support. She needed people who understood that reputation was built over years and could be questioned in a single news cycle. That afternoon, Harold Bennett arrived with a letter from Apex Meridian's counsel. They made an offer. Maya motioned for him to sit. Denise and Lena joined them. Harold placed the letter on the table. Apex Meridian was prepared to discuss a significant settlement. The offer required Harold to replace Williams, Carter, and Brooks, narrow several discovery requests, and agree that no material from the sealed case would be used unless independently obtained through ordinary discovery. Denise finished reading first. They want the case gone. They want us gone, Lena said. Harold looked at Maya. And they're willing to pay for both. Maya read the settlement language carefully. This is not a final offer. It's an invitation to negotiate. It's enough money for me to stop worrying about retirement. That matters. Harold leaned back. Do you think I should take it? Maya did not answer immediately. My job is to tell you what the offer means. The amount is substantial. Litigation has risk. Staying with us may create additional delays, while Voss keeps pursuing disqualification. And if I change lawyers, you may reduce that particular issue, but I also give up discovery. Yes. And the sealed case. Under the proposed terms, effectively yes. Harold looked down at the letter. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then, he folded it once. When I worked at Apex, people learned to make bad decisions sound reasonable. They never told you to ignore something. They told you it was too expensive to examine. They never told you to stay quiet. They told you speaking would damage the company. Maya listened. Harold placed the letter on the table. If I take this because things have become uncomfortable, then Voss gets to say the problem was solved. Denise said, comfort isn't always surrender. I know. Harold looked at Maya. But if I trade the truth for comfort now, they'll call comfort the truth later. Maya nodded. So your answer is no? My answer is that I keep the lawyers I hired, and we keep asking for the records we were asking for before Mercer ever appeared. Lena collected the letter. We'll notify Voss. Harold stood. Before leaving, he looked back at Maya. They want you worried about your license, your clients, your name, everything you spent years building. Maya said nothing. Harold continued. Make sure you remember what they're trying to stop you from looking at. After he left, Denise closed the conference room door. He's right about one thing. Maya looked at her. All of this started because someone knew that case was coming. Lena opened her laptop. And Keene still hasn't told us who gave him the original warning. Maya pulled Mercer's report closer. Then that's where we go next. By the end of the week, no one had openly ordered Williams, Carter, and Brooks to leave the Bennett case. Instead, the pressure had reached their clients, their reputation, and their professional standing. Maya understood the strategy. If they could not be forced out, someone was trying to make staying expensive enough that leaving would begin to look reasonable. Lena found the original security alert in a records production that arrived the following Monday. She called Maya and Denise into the conference room and placed a single printed email on the table. This is the earliest version I can find. Maya, read the subject line first. Potential unauthorized transfer Bennett matter. The message had been sent to Deputy Chief Keene the day before the courthouse incident. Most of the sender information had been redacted, but the text referred to a possible transfer of internal material connected to Harold Bennett's litigation. Denise read it carefully. Where's the emergency? There isn't one, Lena said. No threat to the courthouse? No. No report of stolen property? No. Maya looked at the attached records. What else did the department produce? Lena opened a second document. There was no emergency call, no request from Judge Price, no alert from the clerk's office, and no courthouse security report identifying us as a threat. Denise pointed toward the email. Then this is what started it. It appears to be. Maya, read the message again. The wording was cautious. It did not accuse anyone of a crime. It simply warned that material related to Bennett might be transferred directly to counsel and described the transfer as potentially unauthorized. Who sent it? Maya asked. The department redacted the name as a confidential source. Can we identify the organization? Lena turned the page. The domain was partially preserved in the metadata. Nolan traced the mail routing. It came from a private investigation firm. Denise's expression changed. The same firm Simon had worked for? No. Different company. Who hired them? Lena looked at Maya before answering. Outside counsel working for Apex Meridian. Denise leaned back. So Voss knew. Maya did not answer immediately. Knowing about the possible transfer did not prove that Voss had arranged the delivery. In fact, the information pointed in the opposite direction. If his team knew material might leave Apex, they may have been trying to stop it, Maya said. Denise nodded toward the email. By calling Keene? Possibly. Lena pulled another record from the file. This was created later that evening. It was an internal police advisory issued under Keene's authority. The advisory instructed courthouse personnel to monitor for 3 women expected to arrive in connection with the Bennett matter. It included basic physical descriptions and referenced a sealed, charcoal-colored case that might contain unauthorized corporate material. Maya, read the description twice. He knew the color. Yes, he knew there would be 3 of us. Yes. And this was issued before Simon handed me anything. Yes. Denise tapped the page. Mercer wasn't reacting to a suspicious package. He was waiting for a specific delivery. Lena nodded. His assignment record confirms he was moved to courthouse coverage that morning. Maya looked at her. Was that his normal post? No. The room became quiet. The information changed the structure of the incident. Mercer had not seen 3 women carrying an unknown case and decided to investigate. He had arrived with enough information to identify them and the container before either appeared. What exactly was Mercer told to do? Maya asked. Lena opened the assignment note. Observe the subjects. Prevent unauthorized material from entering secure court areas. Document any refusal to comply with lawful security instructions. Denise read the final sentence. Document any refusal. Yes. That explains why he kept trying to make us say no. Maya remembered the exchange outside the courthouse. Mercer had repeatedly framed questions as refusals and requests for legal authority as interference. He needed conduct he could describe, she said. Denise looked at her. So they planned the obstruction charge. Not necessarily. Denise frowned. Maya pointed to the assignment note. This does not tell Mercer to fabricate anything. It tells him to document refusal. That distinction matters. Keene knew what would happen. Maybe. But we prove what the record supports, not what we assume. Lena agreed. Mercer may have taken an aggressive instruction and pushed it farther on his own. Maya stood and walked to the whiteboard. She wrote the sequence in order. Possible internal leak. Apex outside counsel learns about it. Private investigator alerts Keene. Keene issues courthouse advisory. Mercer is reassigned. Simon delivers the sealed case. Mercer stops them. Body camera is manually turned off. Their questions become obstruction in the final report. Voss files a motion to disqualify them. Denise studied the timeline. If Voss didn't create the case, he took advantage of knowing it was coming. Maya looked at the board. He did more than take advantage. Lena waited. Maya pointed to the first 2 events. He couldn't control whether someone inside Apex decided to release records. Then she pointed to the courthouse advisory. But he could influence what happened when those records reached us. Denise understood. He didn't build the evidence. No. Then what did he build? Maya turned from the board. The reaction to it. Lena opened Simon Vale's interview notes. He said, "The woman who gave him the case never mentioned police or courthouse security. That supports the possibility that the delivery itself was legitimate," Maya said. Denise looked toward the evidence photographs of the charcoal case. Then Elaine may really be the source. Maybe. And Voss learned there was a leak before we did. Yes. Denise stood. So the real trap starts after Maya accepts the case. Maya shook her head. The trap starts before that. She pointed to Keene's advisory. They knew we would receive something. They positioned Mercer where the delivery would happen. Then they gave him instructions designed around refusal, Lena added. And once we asked questions, Mercer created the incident they needed. Maya looked at Mercer's report. The trap wasn't the case. Lena looked at her. It was us touching it. No, Maya said. It was what they planned to write after we did. That afternoon, the firm filed a request seeking communications between Keene, the private investigation firm, and anyone representing Apex Meridian concerning the expected transfer. Voss opposed it almost immediately. His response called the request speculative and accused Maya's firm of using a routine security incident to invade privileged defense communications. Denise read the filing in Maya's office. He's fighting hard to keep those messages out. He should, Maya said. Because they're privileged? Because they may explain why Mercer was waiting. Lena entered with another document. There's one more thing. She placed Mercer's assignment sheet beside the incident report. The advisory says, document any refusal. Mercer's final report says we repeatedly refused lawful commands. Maya looked from one page to the other. What does his first draft say? Lena opened it. Questioned basis for detention. Denise let out a quiet breath. Maya did not react. The sequence was becoming clearer. A warning had become a police operation. Questions had become refusal. Refusal had become obstruction. Obstruction had become the basis for removing 3 lawyers from a case. They still did not have every connection, But they no longer needed to guess what the structure looked like. Someone had known real evidence might be coming. Instead of stopping the evidence directly, they had built a legal problem around the people expected to receive it. The pressure increased before Maya's request for broader communications discovery could be heard. Adrian Voss filed a supplemental brief, asking Judge Price to decide the motion to disqualify Williams, Carter, and Brooks before allowing any further inquiry into contacts between Apex Meridian's legal team and the police department. His argument was direct. The three women were now participants in the courthouse incident, possible witnesses to disputed events, and subjects of an ethics complaint. According to Voss, allowing them to continue investigating the circumstances of their own detention would only deepen the conflict. Denise finished reading the filing at the conference table. He wants us removed before we can get the communications. That would solve several problems for him, Lena said. Maya turned to the final page. He's asking the court to treat Mercer's report as reliable before we're allowed to test how it was created. Denise looked at her. Can Price do that? She can decide the motion whenever she believes the record is sufficient. And is it? Not yet. A second development arrived that afternoon. The Riverton Police Department released the conclusion of its preliminary internal review. Sergeant Mercer, the statement said, had acted within department policy based on the security information available to him at the time. The statement acknowledged the body camera interruption but described it as a separate administrative matter that did not alter the department's assessment of Mercer's conduct. Denise read it from her phone. They know the camera was manually stopped. Yes, Lena said, and they still call the detention proper. Maya took the phone and read the statement herself. Keen's name appeared at the bottom. He needs this conclusion in the record before the court hearing. Denise frowned. You think this is for Price? It's for anyone who needs an official document saying Mercer acted properly. Lena pulled up the first and final versions of Mercer's incident report. And once they have that document, they can say any disagreement is just our interpretation. Maya did not respond immediately. For the first time since the courthouse incident, the problem was no longer limited to what they could prove. She had to consider what the growing dispute was doing to Harold Bennett's case. That evening, she asked Denise and Lena to remain after the staff had gone home. They sat in Maya's office with the door closed. I want to discuss replacement counsel. Denise stared at her. For Harold? Yes. No. Maya expected the response. Hear me out. I heard you. Then hear the rest. Denise leaned back but said nothing. Maya continued. Voss has turned our detention into a disqualification issue, an ethics issue, and now a dispute over police conduct. Harold's claims are getting buried under questions about us. That's what Voss wants. I know. So why give it to him? Because our obligation is to Harold, not to proving that Voss is wrong. Lena had remained quiet. Maya looked at her. If another firm can continue the Bennett case without carrying this conflict into every hearing, we have to consider it. Lena closed the file in front of her. If you leave, Mercer's report becomes true enough for what they needed. Maya's expression changed slightly. Lena continued. They don't have to prove obstruction. They don't have to prove the case was improper. They only need the incident to create enough difficulty that we remove ourselves. Denise nodded. Then Voss gets the result, without ever defending the setup. Maya looked toward the window. What if staying hurts Harold? What if leaving hurts him more? Denise asked. He already told us what he wants. That doesn't remove our duty to make an independent judgment. No, but it matters. Lena pushed Keen's internal review across the desk. They positioned Mercer before the delivery. He manually stopped his camera. His report changed afterward. Keen accessed it. Voss filed to remove us. Now Keen has issued a review saying, Mercer acted within policy. She paused. If we step away now, none of those facts have to be tested. Maya looked at the documents spread across her desk. She had spent years telling clients not to confuse persistence with judgment. Sometimes leaving a fight was the correct decision. Sometimes protecting a client meant accepting that another lawyer could serve them better. But this was different. The conflict itself had been created to force that choice. Before Maya could answer, her phone rang. Judge Price's clerk was calling. The judge had reviewed the competing filings and would not decide the disqualification motion on the written record alone. She was ordering an evidentiary hearing. The issues would include the reliability of Mercer's report, the circumstances surrounding the body camera interruption, the source of the courthouse security alert, communications relevant to the expected transfer, and the provenance of the sealed charcoal case. Judge Price would also determine whether the case could be opened under judicial supervision. When the call ended, Denise looked at Maya. Well, Maya set the phone down. They wanted the motion decided before discovery. Lena understood. Price wants testimony. Yes. Under oath? Yes. Denise sat back. Good. Maya did not smile. But she no longer mentioned replacement counsel. The night before the hearing, the three women worked from the main conference room after everyone else had left. Dinner came from a neighborhood deli. Denise had a turkey sandwich and coffee. Lena ate soup while reviewing metadata exhibits. Maya worked through witness outlines with half a sandwich untouched beside her legal pad. Denise rubbed her eyes. You ever wish we had chosen something quieter for a living? Lena kept typing. Every tax season. Denise laughed despite herself. Even Maya smiled briefly. Then, the room became quiet again. The police report sat beside the body camera logs. Keene's advisory sat beside the private investigator's email. Photographs of the sealed case were arranged next to Simon Vale's statement. Maya looked at the materials together. They built everything around keeping this out of a courtroom. Lena stopped typing. Maya rested her hand on the photograph of the charcoal case. So let's put all of it in one. The following morning, every person who had written a version of what happened outside the courthouse would have to defend that version under oath. The evidentiary hearing began in Judge Eleanor Price's courtroom, with the sealed charcoal case resting on a separate evidence table near the clerk. The security seal remained intact, and no one from either legal team had touched it since the morning of the detention. Maya sat between Denise and Lena at counsel table. Harold Bennett sat behind them. Across the aisle, Adrian Voss arranged his papers without looking in their direction. Judge Price entered, waited for everyone to sit, then looked toward both sides. This court is not here to decide whose reputation matters more, she said. We are here to determine what happened, why it happened, and whether those events affect counsel's ability to continue representing Mr. Bennett. She glanced at the sealed case. The contents will remain unopened until the court determines whether sufficient provenance and chain of custody have been established. Voss stood first. Your Honor, this case does not require a conspiracy theory. It requires a straightforward examination of professional conflict. He walked to the lectern. Miss Williams and her partners accepted a sealed container from an unknown source. The container was believed to contain Apex Meridian corporate material. When a police officer attempted to investigate, a dispute occurred. The attorneys were detained, a formal report was issued, and their own conduct became part of the controversy surrounding evidence in the Bennett litigation. He paused. They are now counsel, witnesses, and interested participants in the same set of events. Maya wrote nothing. She had expected the argument. Voss continued. The question is not whether these attorneys are respected. They clearly are. The question is whether any lawyer should remain in a case after becoming personally involved in a dispute over potentially contested evidence. Judge Price looked at him. You are asking for disqualification before the court determines whether the police report accurately describes the encounter. We believe the report is supported by Sergeant Mercer's testimony. Then call him. Mercer walked to the witness stand and took the oath. Voss approached him calmly. Sergeant, why were you at the courthouse that morning? I had been assigned to assist with a security concern involving a possible unauthorized transfer of corporate records connected to pending litigation. Did you know who would be carrying the material? I had basic identifying information. Did you know what was inside the case? No. What did you do when you saw the delivery? I approached the three individuals and asked them to place the container on the ground. Did they immediately comply? No. Mercer looked toward Maya. They questioned the order repeatedly. Did that interfere with your ability to secure the container? Yes. Did you believe their conduct was obstructing the investigation? Yes. Why? Because instead of following instructions, they kept challenging my authority and delaying the security process. Voss moved to the body camera issue. Was your camera functioning when the encounter began? Yes. Did it stop recording? Yes. Did you intentionally turn it off to conceal misconduct? No. What happened? I believe I may have hit the control accidentally while adjusting the unit. Voss nodded. Did the camera issue change what you personally observed? No. Did anyone order you to falsify a report? No. Did anyone order you to handcuff Miss Williams, Miss Carter, or Miss Brooks? No. Voss returned to his table. No further questions. Judge Price looked at Maya. Miss Williams. Maya stood and approached the witness stand with a thin folder in her hand. She did not begin with the handcuffs. Sergeant Mercer, before you approached us, you knew a sealed case would be delivered? Yes. You knew the case was expected to be connected to Apex Meridian? Potentially. You knew 3 women would be involved? I had descriptions, and you were assigned to the courthouse before the delivery occurred. Yes. Maya opened the folder. You testified that you approached because you observed the delivery. I observed it and acted on information I already had. So the delivery itself did not create your suspicion. It confirmed the information I had received. Maya nodded. That information came before you saw anyone commit an offense? Mercer shifted slightly. It was a security matter. That was not my question. Before you approached us, had you seen any of the 3 of us commit an offense? No. Had anyone reported that we possessed a weapon? No. Contraband? No. A dangerous substance? No. Had courthouse security asked you to detain us? Not specifically. Had a judge? No. Had the clerk's office? No. Maya walked back to counsel table and picked up 2 documents. Let's discuss your report. Voss looked toward the exhibits. Maya handed copies to Mercer and the judge. This is your first draft? Mercer examined it. Yes. And this is the final version? Yes. In your first draft, you wrote that the subjects questioned the basis for detention. Correct? Yes. In the final version, that became repeatedly obstructed lawful security instructions. That was a more complete description. Was it more complete? Or did it describe different conduct? Mercer looked at the documents. It reflected the situation more accurately. Maya did not argue. She moved to another line. Your original draft describes the container as a sealed case of unknown origin. Yes. The final report describes it as suspected unauthorized Apex Meridian corporate records. Yes. When did you learn the case was connected to Apex Meridian? From the security information. Before the encounter? Yes. Maya paused. Then why did your original report say the corporate connection was learned during the encounter? Mercer looked down at the page. I may have worded the first draft poorly. Maya waited before continuing. Sergeant, was the first draft written closer in time to the actual event? Yes. And the final version was completed after a supervisor reviewed it? Voss stood. Objection. Counsel is moving beyond this witness's knowledge of supervisory activity. Maya looked at Judge Price. I'm asking only what Sergeant Mercer personally knows about the revision process. Overruled. He may answer. Mercer shifted again. Yes. A supervisor reviewed the report. Deputy Chief Robert Keene? Yes. Maya closed the folder. She did not ask what Keene changed. Not yet. One final question for now. When you approached us outside the courthouse, did you believe you were investigating something that had already happened? Or were you trying to prevent something you had been told was about to happen? Mercer hesitated longer this time. To prevent something. Maya looked at Judge Price. That answer mattered. Mercer had entered the witness stand, describing a spontaneous security response. Under oath, he had now confirmed that the department had known about the delivery before Maya ever received the case. No further questions at this time. As Maya returned to counsel table, Denise leaned slightly toward her. He knows where you're going. Maya kept her eyes on Mercer. So does Keene. Across the courtroom, Voss was no longer reading his notes. Nolan Price took the witness stand after a short recess. Lena had already prepared the digital exhibits, but Maya handled the questioning. She began by establishing Nolan's qualifications and the limits of what he could conclude from the body camera records. Can metadata tell you what Sergeant Mercer was thinking? No. Can it tell you whether the camera suffered a technical failure? Yes. Maya displayed the event log on the courtroom monitor. What did you find? No critical battery event? No storage failure, no firmware crash, and no thermal shutdown. What caused the recording to stop? Nolan looked at the highlighted line. A user-initiated stop command. Maya turned slightly toward the witness stand where Mercer remained seated behind counsel. So the camera did not stop on its own? Correct. Voss rose. Objection to the implication. Judge Price looked at Maya. Ask the technical question without argument. Maya nodded. Was the stop command consistent with a manual user action? Yes. And when did the recording resume? Nolan brought up the next event. After the detention ended, and after the handcuffs had been removed. Maya displayed the device history for the previous year and a half. Did you find another incident in which this same camera recorded the same stop and restart pattern during an enforcement contact? No. Mercer shifted in his seat. Maya did not look at him. No further questions. Voss stood for cross-examination. Mr. Price, a manual stop does not prove intentional concealment, does it? No. An officer can touch a control accidentally? Yes. So your testimony is not that Sergeant Mercer deliberately turned off the camera to hide misconduct. My testimony is that the device did not fail. It received a manual stop command. Voss nodded. Nothing more. Nothing less. Nolan said. Voss paused, then returned to his table. Lena was called next to authenticate the incident report audit trail. She explained that the police reporting system preserved versions of Mercer's draft and final report, along with records showing when supervisory accounts accessed the file. Maya placed the two versions side by side on the courtroom monitor. The first draft read, Subjects, questioned basis for detention. The final report read, Subjects repeatedly obstructed lawful security instructions. A second line changed from declined consent to search to refused lawful direction. Then came the description of the case itself. The original version called it a sealed container of unknown origin. The final version called it suspected unauthorized Apex Meridian corporate records. Judge Price leaned forward. Miss Brooks, can the system tell us who accessed the report between those versions? Yes. Who? Deputy Chief Robert Keene. Voss stood. Access does not establish authorship. Lena looked toward him. I didn't say it did. Judge Price suppressed the exchange with a glance. Maya continued. Can the system show whether the language changed before or after Deputy Chief Keene's access? After, can it show which account saved the final version? Sergeant Mercer's. So Keene accessed the report. Changes appeared afterward. And Mercer submitted the final version? Yes. Maya looked at Judge Price. No further questions. Keene was called next. He entered the witness stand with the controlled manner he had maintained throughout the public controversy. Maya waited until he finished taking the oath. Deputy Chief Keene, did you review Sergeant Mercer's report? Yes. Why? Supervisory review. Did you change it? I suggested clarifications. What kind? Language? Formatting? Completeness. Did you suggest replacing questioned the basis for detention with obstructed lawful security instructions? I don't recall the exact wording. Did you suggest changing declined consent to search to refused lawful direction? I would need to see the document. Maya placed the comparison in front of him. Keene read it. I may have discussed making the language more precise. More precise for what purpose? To reflect Sergeant Mercer's account. Maya moved to the next subject. You issued the courthouse advisory the night before the delivery? Yes. What was the source of the information? Confidential security information. Was it from law enforcement? No. Courthouse security? No. A judge? No. The clerk's office? No. Keene's posture remained composed. Maya looked directly at him. Was the source connected to Apex Meridian's legal team? Voss stood immediately. Objection. Privilege. Maya did not turn toward him. I'm asking who provided information to a public official that became the basis for a police operation. Judge Price considered it. Overruled as to identity of the source category. The witness may answer. Keene hesitated. Yes. The courtroom became noticeably quieter. Maya continued. Through whom? A private investigator. Retained by whom? Outside counsel associated with Apex Meridian. Voss rose again. Judge Price looked at him. "Sit down, Mr. Voss. The witness has answered." Maya moved to the document she had been waiting to use. "Deputy Chief, did the original communication say 3 lawyers were committing a crime?" "No." "Did it report a weapon?" "No." "Contraband?" "No." "A threat to courthouse safety?" "No." "What did it say?" "That physical material connected to the Bennett matter might be transferred directly to counsel." Maya nodded. "And after receiving that information, you created a police advisory?" "Yes." "An advisory telling officers to prevent the material from entering the courthouse? To investigate the transfer and secure material if necessary." Maya handed the clerk another exhibit. This communication was recovered from server archive metadata. "Do you recognize the routing information?" Keene looked at it. "Yes." The email from the private investigator stated that physical material connected to Bennett might be transferred directly to counsel, and that, if it reached courthouse custody, privilege and admissibility issues would become significantly more difficult. Maya let Judge Price read it before continuing. Then she displayed Keene's internal message sent afterward. "Intercept before entry. Document resistance." Maya looked at him. "What did you mean by document resistance?" "Any refusal to comply with lawful instructions." "Did you expect resistance?" "I expected questions. Those are not the same thing. They can interfere with an officer's work." Maya waited a moment. "Did you tell Sergeant Mercer that questioning his authority could support obstruction?" "No." "Did you tell him to create an obstruction charge?" "No." "Did you tell him to stop the case from reaching the courtroom?" "I told him to prevent potentially unauthorized material from entering secure court areas." Maya nodded once. "So before Maya Williams received the case, you knew who would receive it, what it looked like, what litigation it concerned, and that someone connected to Apex Meridian wanted it stopped." Keene's expression tightened. "I knew there was a security concern." Maya looked toward Judge Price. "No, Deputy Chief. You knew there was a litigation concern. The question is, when it became a police one." Voss stood. "Objection. Sustained," Price said. "Counsel, save argument for closing." Maya closed her folder. She had what she needed. By that point, the court had established that the camera had been manually stopped. Mercer's report had changed after supervisory review, and the original warning had come from people working for the very party seeking to remove Maya's firm from the case. The remaining question was no longer whether the incident had been unusual. It was whether the sealed case itself would prove why so many people had worked to keep it from reaching the judge. Simon Vale entered the courtroom after Keene stepped down. He looked uncomfortable under the attention but answered Maya's questions without hesitation. "You delivered the charcoal case to me outside the courthouse?" "Yes." "Who hired you?" "A private booking service." "Did they tell you what was inside?" "No." "Did they tell you police would be waiting?" "No." "Did they tell you the delivery would create a security incident?" "No." Maya showed him a photograph taken from the courthouse camera. "Is that you?" "Yes." "And where did you receive the case?" "Parking garage on Jefferson Street." "From whom?" "A woman I didn't know." "Did she identify herself?" "No." "Did she tell you to open the case?" "No." "She specifically told me not to." "What were your instructions?" "Deliver it directly to Maya Williams. No substitutes. No opening it. No questions about the contents." Maya nodded toward the evidence table. "Is that the same case?" Simon looked at it. "Yes." "No further questions." Voss questioned Simon briefly but established nothing beyond what the court already knew. Simon was a paid courier who had followed unusual instructions. He could not identify the source by name. That changed with the next witness. Elaine Porter walked to the stand with her attorney seated behind her. Her expression remained controlled as she took the oath. Maya approached carefully. "Miss Porter, did you provide that case to Simon Vale?" "Yes." Denise looked toward Voss. His face did not change, but his pen stopped moving. Maya continued. "Did Mr. Vale know who you were?" "No." "Why not?" "I did not want the delivery traced back to me before the material reached neutral custody." "Why did you send it anonymously?" Elaine looked at Judge Price before answering. "Because internal records at Apex Meridian were being reviewed, moved, and in some cases marked for disposal. I was concerned that records related to the Bennett matter might not remain available. Voss stood. Objection. This is moving into the substance of disputed corporate material. Judge Price nodded. Sustained. Miss Williams, keep the questions to provenance for now. Maya adjusted immediately. Did you personally place the materials inside the case? Yes. Did you seal it? Yes. Did you place the note under the handle? Yes. Why did the note say the case should only be opened in front of a judge? Elaine answered without looking toward Voss. I wanted a neutral record of what was inside when the seal was broken. I did not want either side to have private access first. Did anyone from Williams, Carter, and Brooks know you were sending it? No. Did Harold Bennett know? No. Did Sergeant Mercer? Not from me. Deputy Chief Keene? No. Adrian Voss? Elaine paused. I did not tell him directly. Maya heard the qualification. Did someone inside Apex Meridian know material was leaving? Yes. That is how outside counsel could have learned about the transfer? It is possible. Voss rose again. Objection. Speculation. Sustained. Maya nodded. Nothing further on that point. The chain was now clear enough for Judge Price to consider the next question. Elaine had packed the records. Simon had carried the sealed case. Maya had received it. Courthouse personnel had then placed it into secure custody without breaking the seal. Still, Voss had one argument left. He stood. Your Honor, even if the package itself was legitimate, that does not prove any coordinated effort to manufacture an obstruction incident. At most, the record shows that Apex Meridian became aware of a possible unauthorized transfer, and law enforcement responded aggressively. He looked toward Mercer. There is no evidence Sergeant Mercer was instructed to create a false charge. Maya exchanged a glance with Lena. Then Lena opened a document envelope. Voss noticed. What is that? Maya stood. An authenticated audio recording. Voss's expression changed for the first time. From where? Lena answered from counsel table. My digital dictation recorder. Judge Price looked at her. Was it operating during the courthouse encounter? Yes, Your Honor. I had been recording notes before we arrived. I did not realize until later that it had continued running. Maya added, the original file has been preserved. Nolan Price authenticated the creation data and confirmed no editing or breaks in the recording. Voss stood. This should have been disclosed earlier. It was disclosed under seal after authentication, Maya said. Your office received notice before this hearing. Judge Price checked the docket. She is correct. The judge looked at Voss. Sit down. Lena connected the recording to the courtroom system. Maya did not play the entire encounter. She began with Mercer's voice. I need you to follow the order. Then Maya's recorded voice. What offense are you investigating? Mercer answered. Keep resisting and I'll have enough for obstruction. Denise's voice followed. Enough for what? We haven't refused detention. Then, Mercer. That's what the report will establish. The courtroom remained still. Mercer looked down. Maya allowed the recording to continue. Her own voice asked, Did someone tell you to stop this case from entering the building? There was a short pause. Then Mercer's recorded answer came through the speakers. My instructions were to make sure it didn't reach a courtroom. Maya stopped the audio. Judge Price looked directly at Mercer. Sergeant, return to the stand. Mercer did. Price spoke before Maya could ask anything. Who gave you that instruction? Mercer glanced toward Keene. Deputy Chief Keene. Keene's expression remained rigid. Maya approached Mercer. Did Deputy Chief Keene tell you to fabricate an obstruction charge? No. Did he tell you to handcuff us? No. Then why did you say you would have enough for obstruction before any obstruction had occurred? Mercer's answer came slowly. I believed refusal to follow the security directive would justify it. But we had not refused detention. No. We had not tried to leave. No. We had not physically interfered. No. So, the conduct you planned to call obstruction was our decision to question the legal basis for your order. Mercer hesitated. Yes. Maya returned to counsel table. Voss stood before she could continue. Even this does not establish that my office directed Sergeant Mercer's conduct. Maya looked at him. You're right. The answer surprised him. You never wrote. Handcuff my opposing counsel. She placed the timeline on the courtroom monitor. Your team learned that internal Bennett material might leave Apex Meridian. A private investigator contacted Keene. Keene issued an intercept instruction. Mercer was positioned outside the courthouse. His body camera was manually stopped. Our questions became obstruction in his report. That report was then used in your motion to remove us. Voss shook his head. That is argument. Yes, Maya said. And the documents supporting it are already in evidence. Judge Price looked toward the sealed case. After reviewing Elaine's testimony and the documented chain of custody, she issued the order. The court will open the case. Elaine provided the combination through a sealed affidavit. The clerk entered it. The lock released. For the first time since the case reached Maya's hands, the seal was broken. Inside were internal audit ledgers, authorization sheets, document retention records, communication logs, and an encrypted storage drive. Elaine identified the record categories and explained where they had been maintained inside Apex Meridian. Harold Bennett sat completely still. Voss looked through the preliminary inventory but said nothing. Judge Price ordered the materials preserved for formal authentication and further review. Voss finally stood. Your Honor, this hearing has become a spectacle far beyond the original disqualification question. Maya rose. No. She looked toward the open case. The spectacle happened outside. Then she looked at Mercer's report. This is the record. Her voice remained calm. And the difference matters. Judge Price returned to the bench after reviewing the exhibits, the testimony, and the preliminary inventory from the charcoal case. She did not address the courtroom immediately. She read several pages of notes before looking toward Adrian Voss. The motion to disqualify Williams, Carter, and Brooks is denied. Harold Bennett lowered his head for a moment. Denise let out a quiet breath. Lena remained focused on the bench. Price continued. The court finds no sufficient basis to conclude that counsel created the circumstances that made them witnesses to the courthouse incident. The evidence presented today raises substantial questions about the reliability of the police report used to support the motion. Voss stood. Your Honor, we respectfully request clarification concerning the materials in the case. You'll have it. Price looked toward the open charcoal case. The contents will remain under court supervision until authentication is complete. Neither party will obtain unilateral possession. Discovery concerning these records may proceed subject to appropriate privilege review. She turned to the clerk. The court also orders preservation of all communications involving Sergeant Mercer, Deputy Chief Keene, any private investigator connected to the security alert, and counsel or agents acting for Apex Meridian concerning the expected transfer. Voss's expression remained controlled. Judge Price looked toward Mercer and Keene. The testimony and digital records presented here raise matters outside the scope of this civil hearing. The relevant record will be referred to the appropriate investigative and disciplinary authorities. She then addressed Maya. Your firm remains counsel for Mr. Bennett. Maya stood. Thank you, Your Honor. Price's tone remained firm. Do not thank me for allowing lawyers to continue representing their client. Thank the record for surviving long enough to be examined. Maya understood the point. Yes, Your Honor. The consequences did not arrive all at once. The first formal investigation focused on Mercer's body camera and incident report. Technical reviewers confirmed that the recording had been stopped manually. Investigators also compared his original notes, his first draft, and the final report submitted after Keene's review. Mercer maintained that he had believed the three women were obstructing him. What he could not explain was why lawful questions had been rewritten as refusal, or why the camera stopped during the most disputed part of the encounter and resumed after the handcuffs were removed. The disciplinary process lasted several weeks. Mercer was eventually terminated for violating body camera policy, submitting a materially misleading report, and improperly using obstruction language to justify a detention that his own original notes did not support. There was no dramatic arrest and no public confrontation. His career ended through paperwork, testimony, and findings signed by people who had reviewed what he had written. Keene's investigation went further. The department's internal records showed that he had taken information originating from people connected to Apex Meridian's legal interests and converted it into a courthouse security operation without an independent criminal complaint or court request. Investigators also confirmed that he had accessed Mercer's report before significant language changes appeared and had instructed subordinates to conceal the original source of the alert from routine documentation. Keene resigned while the administrative investigation was still active. Voss faced a different process. Judge Price did not declare that he had personally ordered Mercer to detain anyone. The evidence did not support that conclusion. What the record did show was that people working on behalf of Apex Meridian had learned about a possible internal document transfer, communicated with Keene, and later used the resulting police incident as a basis to seek removal of opposing counsel. Voss was taken off the direct lead role in the Bennett litigation, while professional responsibility authorities reviewed the conduct of his team and its coordination with outside investigators. For Maya, that distinction mattered. She did not want a larger accusation than the evidence could prove. The Bennett case continued. The records inside the charcoal case were examined by independent specialists. Many were authenticated as internal Apex Meridian documents. Several contradicted earlier representations concerning financial controls, document retention, and authorization records associated with public contracts. The encrypted drive required additional forensic review, but it produced communications that supported Harold's claim that internal records had been moved or reclassified after concerns were raised inside the company. Apex Meridian eventually returned to settlement negotiations. This time, the offer did not require Harold to replace his lawyers or abandon the evidence from the case. The settlement included financial compensation, formal correction of disputed corporate records, and independent review requirements covering several internal compliance and document retention practices. When the final papers were ready, Harold came to the firm in person. Maya handed him the signature pages. "You should read them again." Harold smiled. "I already read them twice." "Read them a third time." Denise laughed. "That's why you hired her." Harold signed. Afterward, he remained seated for a moment. "I thought the hardest part would be proving what Apex did." Maya closed the file. "It usually isn't." "What is?" "Keeping the process clean long enough for the proof to matter." Harold looked at her. "They almost got you removed from the case. They almost created enough confusion to make removal look reasonable." "That sounds worse." "It is." Several months later, Maya, Denise, and Lena walked from the parking garage toward Franklin County Courthouse on another ordinary morning. Denise carried coffee. Lena had a yellow legal pad under one arm. Maya carried the same leather folio she had brought. The morning the charcoal case appeared, there were no reporters waiting outside. An older court officer held the entrance door as they approached. "Morning, counselors." "Morning," Maya replied. They continued toward the steps. Denise glanced at the place where Mercer had ordered the case onto the ground. "Funny thing." Maya looked at her. "What?" "They spent all that effort trying to keep one case out of the courthouse." Lena adjusted the legal pad under her arm and created enough metadata to bring the whole story in. Maya looked toward the courthouse doors. He thought the handcuffs gave him control of the story. Denise shook her head. "They didn't." Maya continued walking. "They never do. Evidence does." The charcoal case had looked like the danger that morning. It was not. The danger had been the false security alert, the missing camera footage, the altered report, and the belief that authority could decide what the official record would say. Adrian Voss tried to turn evidence into a trap. Robert Keene tried to turn that trap into procedure. Daniel Mercer tried to turn procedure into a police report. Maya Williams and her team did something simpler. They followed the record backward. When the case was finally opened before a judge, it exposed more than the records Apex Meridian had tried to keep from the Bennett litigation. It exposed everyone who had tried to stop those records from reaching the courtroom. This story reminds us that justice does not depend on who speaks the loudest or who holds the most authority. It depends on facts, patience, and the courage to protect the truth when someone tries to rewrite it. Power can create pressure, confusion, and fear, but a clear record can still bring accountability. Thank you so much for staying with us until the very end of this story. Your time and attention truly mean a lot to this channel. We would also love to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the way this story was told? Was the pacing clear, emotional, and easy to follow? Your feedback helps us improve every story we share. And if you have a powerful, meaningful, or unforgettable story of your own, we invite you to send it to the channel. Your story may inspire a future episode and help remind others that truth, dignity, and justice still matter. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.